Good morning guys, we are here still quite early in the morning at UMW Toyota headquarters in Shah Alam. As you can see behind me, we're here for a drive for the all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Obviously with the pandemic still going on, all of us are going to be in masks and the whole drive is going to be quite packed with about a total of 3 hours of driving. So that's enough talking for now, let's go and check out the car. Okay, so we are off, just heading out of Shah Alam right now. For scheduling reason, all of us will be driving the 1.8G variant of the Toyota Corolla Cross, which is actually an entry variant. The V variant will supposedly be coming very soon and we might be able to check it out when it's here. But for now, we're just going to be trying out this 1.8G variant. Most of the differences are mostly on the appearance as well as the safety kit. So the 1.8G will not get the full suite of Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, but blind spot monitoring as well as rear cross traffic alert will still be on this entry-level variant. First impressions, driving around city traffic, rough roads with all of these brick roads, it is actually quite comfortable, I would say, and it's very quiet so far. We'll see what we feel when we get onto the highway, which should be very soon. So we've driven through quite a variety of roads, from smaller city urban roads and now we are on the highway going at about 90 kilometers per hour right now. First impressions actually has been pretty good, especially in the comfort and smoothness of the entire drivetrain and the suspension setup. And you know, we automotive writers, we love to rave about the whole TNGA platform and how it enhances your drivability, enhances your handling, your ride comfort, and once again the capability of the TNGA platform shows itself on the Toyota Corolla Cross. And I think in terms of stability on high speed, in terms of handling on tighter corners and even fast sweeping corners, it's been handling itself quite well. And also the other part of TNGA is the visibility. No problems on the front side, but I would say that the rear windows are just a little bit too small for me. It's a tiny bit hard to look out through the rear, but other than that it's been great. And wind noise has been decent up until about 130 kilometers or so. Because we are on the 1.8G variant, we also don't get the acoustic windshield that you can get on the 1.8V variant. So that is where this variant, this particular model might lose out on, but it hasn't been that bad. The only complaint that we have though is that the tire noise on these budget oriented tires, I would say, that kind of sticks out a bit like a sore thumb. Alright, so we've just done a driver change and I'm now seated at the back seats and we're going through some single lane, narrow, small town roads, you know, with all the rough roads and whatnot. And you know, I've got to say, the comfort levels, once again, quite surprising. The suspension managed to soak up all of the rough roads pretty well. Noise levels can be improved, but overall it's been a pleasant experience back here. And because of the more regular sort of SUV shape compared to say the CHR, you also get very good headroom. Knee room is also great. But the best part about sitting back here, the seats can actually be reclined by 6 degrees. This is going to be the position that I'm going to stay pretty much for the rest of the drive, I think. So we've just had our lunch break here in Cyberjaya, and since the car is parked at this nice area over here, we thought we'd just give you a quick walk around. Despite its name, I think it really looks a bit more like a toned down RAV4 rather than its sedan counterpart, and that's mainly due to its large trapezoidal grille over there. In terms of size, this is also right in the middle of a B segment and a C segment SUV, so it is quite a bit larger in almost every dimension compared to its main rivals, which are the HR-V, Subaru XV, as well as the Mazda CX-30. So as we said before, this is the 1.8G entry-level variant. So the main difference between this and the range-topping 1.8V are in its exterior features, aside from the safety kit of course. Up front here you get automatic halogen headlights and halogen daytime running lights instead of the bi-LED units on the range-topping 1.8V variant. Down here at the sides you get smaller 17-inch wheels with Bridgestone Alenza tyres instead of the 18-inch and Michelin tyres you get on the range-topping variant. On the side here I really like these two boomerang character lines, as well as this chrome strip that runs all the way to the back, giving it sort of like a floating roof effect. And moving all the way to the back here, the 1.8G, you also get a LED combination tail lights, but the difference between this and the range-topping model is that this doesn't get that signature curtain light effect as you see on all of the photos so far. The Corolla Cross, as its name suggests, it's somewhat based on the Corolla sedan, which is also underpinned by the TNGA platform underneath. But the main difference between the two is that this here actually rides on a torsion beam rear suspension setup instead of the multi-link ones on the Corolla sedan. But the main benefit of that is that you get more boot space at the back. This here, by the way, is standard across the board, and as you can see, the boot is rated at 440 litres. And in terms of numbers, it is actually the largest within its segment compared to the HR-V and, as we've said earlier, the CX-30 and Subaru XV. But in terms of real usability, that still remains to be seen, because this here only has a 60-40 rear split folding seats instead of stuff like the Ultra seats on the HR-V. But still, it looks like a very usable space with a wide opening, and the rigged rear windshield doesn't look like it eats into too much of the height. Right, let's go and check out the interior. Okay, so inside here, the dashboard, as you can see, is pretty much lifted as is from the Corolla sedan, except for a bit of a shape difference on the dashboard to suit the taller sitting position of the Corolla Cross. Feature-wise, both variants are pretty much identical. You get analog instrument cluster with a 4.2-inch multi-info display. Curiously, there's no digital instrument cluster here, even on the range-topping model. And over to the side, there's a 9-inch infotainment display, which I really think is the best one in any Toyota model so far. The display is sharp and clear, graphics are smooth, and there's also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity. Down here, there's a single-zone automatic climate control. And if you look down here, it's also pretty funny because you won't find any handbrake lever or electronic parking brake button, because on this car, the parking brake is actually a foot pedal hidden down there. Other interior highlights include full black leather upholstery, and at the back there's also rear aircon vents as well as 2 USB ports. Alright, now the walk around is done, lunch is over. Let's get back on the road and see how this car drives. First of all, the engine, which is a 1.8 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, putting out 138 horsepower and around 172 Nm of torque. So if you compare it to, say, the Honda HR-V, it is not necessarily the highest in terms of raw numbers, but in actual driving, you don't really feel that it is at all underpowered, especially when paired to this CVT gearbox with 7 virtual gears. Even at, say, 50% throttle input, the gearbox is actually quite eager to hold its rev at a quite high range, say about 3,000 to 4,000 RPM, which really helps give it that extra push, especially on the highways, to help with the overtakes. So essentially you really don't feel like it's underpowered at all, and I think this powertrain combination with the 1.8 litre and the CVT gearbox, it really works quite well together. Would I have liked to see the 1.8 litre hybrid here in Malaysia? Yeah, perhaps, but I don't think you'll find any problems with this engine and gearbox combination at all. Throughout our drive today, one thing that really stood out to me about this Corolla Cross is actually its handling capabilities. And I mean, I hate to say it, but there's really no other reason other than the new DNGA platform. We talked about earlier how comfortable this car is in, say, city traffic, slow moving, or even highways where it manages to soak up all of the uneven surfaces and also the road undulations very, very well. The way it sits over a bump is some premium stuff. And even when it comes to slightly windier B roads, the Corolla Cross actually does hold its weight very, very well. Now, I wouldn't say that there is no body roll on this car. It is an SUV after all, but the way that it controls its body roll is actually very, very impressive. You wouldn't feel like you're toppling over even when you're going through fast sweeping corners or even tighter bends. And even the traction of this car kind of surprises as well. We were going through a windier section of road near Semeni earlier today. Even though this car has a more budget kind of rear suspension setup with a torsion beam, it really doesn't lose out too much to its sedan counterpart. And even if it does lose traction, it's usually very easily controllable. Just lift off the accelerator and the car just straightens out. So it's very easy to drive, very comfortable, and very competent in handling. We're actually driving the Corolla Cross about a week before its actual Malaysian launch date, so we don't quite know the pricing just yet. But when you're watching this, the pricing will already be out, so we'll be linking that down below in the description box. But from what everyone is expecting it to be priced, and especially with the car being a CKD model by the end of this year, I think it will actually be a pretty good value proposition, especially when you put it up against the segment king, which is the Honda HR-V. Although they did make quite a lot of cost-cutting measures on this car, especially with the analog instrument cluster, the single-zone automatic climate control, the things that small families really do care about, which is what this car is geared towards. Things like the 9-inch infotainment display, things like the full Toyota Safety Sense 2.0 Advanced Driver Assistance Suite on the range-topping model. Toyota did not skimp on this, and I think in terms of value proposition wise, it really just put it, in my opinion at least, above the Honda HR-V. And of course, like we mentioned, the drive, I think it's right up there with the Subaru XV. But what do you think? Would you pick this above the Honda HR-V when it comes to a time to buy a small family car? Let us know in the comment section below. It will be interesting to know what everyone thinks about this car. Anyway, that's been it for this short vlog. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, remember to click the like button, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. I'm heading back to Shah Alam right now to return the car, and if I'm telling you the truth, I think I'm gonna miss it.